Welcome to An Introduction to Co-Resolution, an instructional video intended as a supplement to formal training in the co-resolution process. While this short video will provide an illustration of many aspects of co-resolution, it will not fully explain the co-resolution theory. Co-resolution is one process among many through which parties to a dispute may address their differences. Currently, two parties, represented by the differently colored circles, can either approach an impartial mediator, represented by the triangle, who cannot provide partisan assistance, or independent advocates, usually attorneys, represented by the differently colored squares, who can provide partisan assistance but will have difficulty cooperating with each other because they have incentive to win and do not have the rapport of a built-in relationship. In co-resolution, however, two cooperative advocates work as a team in a single dispute resolution service. Because they have an ongoing relationship, both co-resolvers are motivated to maintain trust and rapport with each other by coaching the parties in principled negotiation methods only. Operating as partisan coaches, each co-resolver will form a connection with their assigned party, and then use that connection, tempered by their ongoing relationship with the other co-resolver, to conduct a discussion in which each party is separately supported and both parties are simultaneously guided toward a healthy resolution of their dispute. The following is a demonstration of a co-resolution process from beginning to end.
If one of you could sit here, or one of you sit over there, that would be great.
In bringing the parties to the table, the co-resolvers act as one unit. The parties approach the table together without knowing or choosing which co-resolver will be assisting them in the negotiation. As a result, either party can leave the process if they feel uncomfortable, terminating the assistance of both co-resolvers. This possibility should keep each co-resolver focused on loyally assisting their respective disputant.
To start.
Thank you for being here. Welcome. We really commend you for being here and using the co-resolution process.
Before facilitating the actual negotiation, it is important for the co-resolvers to explain key features of the co-resolution process, preferably with a written commitment to negotiate under co-resolution, which the parties sign prior to the negotiation.
And one of you will have Amy and one of you will have myself. And the role of the coach is really just to help support you through these discussions that we're going to have of the issues you bring here today.
While making it very clear that they are not acting as attorneys, the co-resolvers should explain that they will each help one of the parties in communicating and negotiating effectively yet cooperatively. Disputants typically welcome this assistance, but should know that it is not the competitive advocacy offered by attorneys.
Everything you say in here is confidential communication, meaning it can't be used in a court of law. Amy and I also, we're not going to be making any decisions.
Finally, a co-resolution session should be prefaced by an explanation of the ground rules, confidentiality measures, relation of joint sessions and caucuses, and anything else that would be stated prior to a mediation. After the parties sign the commitment, the co-resolvers are assigned to the parties through either set criteria, such as assignment based on gender or background, or a random process, such as a flip of a coin. The co-resolvers then move from the head of the table, sit next to their assigned party, and begin to facilitate the discussion.
So I thought maybe we could start with each talking about, what's important to you about parenting time. Just really kind of talk about our interests.
Just as there are different styles of mediation, providers of co-resolution may vary in their application of the process. However, the basics are that the process will be conducted as a mix of joint session, in which the co-resolvers sit at the table and facilitate the discussion as they coach their assigned parties, and separate caucuses, in which the co-resolvers each take their assigned party into a separate room to discuss positions and strategies. The following hypothetical scenario between Dan and Elizabeth concerning parenting time with their daughter Emily moves from an initial caucus and leads into a negotiation conducted in joint session.
Really understand and trust that I have your back.
Okay.
And I'm not going to let that happen.
Okay.
Yeah, that helps you breathe right there,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it does.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking for ways in this process to be very clear with what your interests are, be very clear with what's important to you
Okay.
and what you believe is essential to take really good care of Emily,
Okay.
and see if we can do that in a way that still feels supportive for Dan. Because if he's shutting down, this process is just so much more difficult.
Right.
And I think in the long run, you're going to see that this process can really model a way for you and Dan to make co-parenting decisions going forward,
Okay.
even after Deb and I are out of the picture.
Okay. How will you know, like what will be the first thing we'll notice if she's not responding well, if we feel like we've gotten the emotional content is
You
too
feel
high?
really, just a real strong connection with Emily,
Yeah.
and you're feeling a little protective.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, she has serious allergies, food allergies, and he doesn't take that seriously at all. He doesn't.
And perhaps if we notice the emotion getting high, then I would gladly step in too. Are you comfortable with at least stating your initial, what you would like as far as parenting goes?
Yeah.
So I'm going to really be paying attention to the cues I get from you
Okay.
as to when you feel like, wow, he's making some points and I'm not feeling like I'm getting to be heard.
Okay.
And I'm going to make sure that I help create some opportunities for you to say what you have to say as well.
Okay. So when there's a lot of emotion present, it's really hard to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Is
You
there any?
feel pretty limited in your communications right
I
now.
mean, you know, if I say something, then he just zones out, and then that's the end of it.
So you get a little bit of shutdown from
Yeah,
Dan. So
absolutely.
can you think of a time, even years ago, when you and Dan had a good conversation about anything?
I mean,
Start to get nitpicky with Dan, that might be a sign that you're shutting down a little
yeah,
bit.
I pretty much have had it by that point.
That you've had it, and that it might be time for either a short break, or maybe I can step in and help lift up the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the table
Okay.
and start having this conversation about the parenting time
Okay.
for Dan and Emily. Your specific
I-
medical
I
concerns.
do. I want her to have a relationship with her daddy. That's
So you agree
what
on that
parents and children
completely?
should be doing anyhow. Absolutely.
Well, in the
And I don't want to
circumstances
hinder that.
around that. I mean, right now I have to see her in public or, you know,
Okay.
at her place, which is. Spend together, I think one-on-one, you know, daddy-daughter time is important and
Okay.
being able to spend that is important.
Should we write this down? So a little one-on-one daddy-daughter time, I heard. Okay.
I heard Dan say that he really wants one-on-one time. I'm getting the impression that you're referring to a bond or a connection with your child, an attachment. So are you looking to connect with her in a way that would enhance your relationship?
Yeah,
Is
and I
that
think it's
what
both
you
quality and quantity that's.
So I could tell you had a little bit of a reaction to that, and I heard under your breath you said she is 4.5.
4.5.
Tell us what you mean by that.
I mean, that she has a relationship with both of us. I think that's important, I really do. But I have genuine concerns about how Dan, you know, she's having an allergic reaction to the foods, or she needs her inhaler, or,
Okay.
you know.
So not to cut you off,
Yeah.
but you're very articulate about a lot of the specific details of her care, and I want to help you summarize that really what your interest is that Emily's health care and medical care be addressed all the time, no matter who's parenting her.
Absolutely.
So that Emily's
Medical needs, healthcare, you mentioned the word safety. Would that be a good place for us to start and really look at what that means to each of you, to make sure that we understand that issue and see if we can see if the two of you would like to reach any agreements about Emily's care? Would that be a good place to start? Would that be okay to do that before we look at the specific schedule?
Sure.
Okay, eventually some learning. And so what were your thoughts? Did you want to further refine that? We started with this.
Yeah.
You're
I mean,
ready
as long
to-
as it's reasonable and, you know, it's
Got it.
not rocket science. We can figure it out and we can.
Got it. So maybe actually laying down some ideas on what will create safety for Emily.
Great.
So,
Emily to make sure that she's safe. Either
And you can both just throw in items here. I'm sure you both know them.
Well, I mean, you know, when I do the grocery shopping, I'm looking at the labels and I'm making sure that the items that she's allergic to are not involved in the food.
All right. Dan, you may have something you want to add, or?
I think this is largely her concern, so, those are fine, those are very doable things.
Right.
Here's what it takes
So hearing him say that starts to really bring up.
Because he thinks I'm over the top with it, but he doesn't take it seriously at all.
So that's a concept that you actually mentioned a few times when we were meeting privately, is that you not only want to know that he will do these things, but that he really understands how.
And what it is I'm looking for in the labels.
Yeah, I mean, you could give me a list of what you usually do, and, I could stock that in our relationship and figuring out the financial aspect of that as well as, our relationship with Emily. And that's what matters, and, what I do with Emily and how we do that, as long as she's safe and happy, that's the goal.
Heard you say that.
That's helpful. Will you say that again a little bit louder?
I think that's the first I've ever heard you say that.
So the tone that I'm getting right now is that you're starting to see that Dan is really interested in helping take care of Emily's safety. When she's with Dan, he's now offered, and you've shared some ideas that you would agree on. Does that make a difference to you in your willingness to start talking about a schedule and what it might look like for Emily to have some one-on-one time with Dan?
I think so. I mean, I feel more comfortable knowing that
You're ready to get a schedule. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to move forward.
So I just want to make a comment at this point that the two of you are doing really good work here. This is really demonstrating some good back and forth here, and that you're each giving each other a chance to speak, and I just want to commend you for that.
You're doing well.
Other common and acceptable co-resolver actions that were not illustrated in this particular case include restraining your party from engaging in deceptive or domineering negotiation tactics, speaking for your party on topics with which they're not comfortable, and suggesting effective arguments and ideas for resolution.
Seems like we came to some agreements. Thank you for that.
Yeah, congratulations. That's hard work. I know it's not easy being here.
At the end of the process, the co-resolvers should discuss next steps with their parties, in joint session and in caucus, and should also debrief with each other.
You did a great job in helping control the emotion that was happening.
Because I think it helped lower some of the tension that was
Okay.
going on, is that even though he wasn't able to really say anything supportive of her, you were.
Okay.
So
I think somehow we should check in with each other a little bit.
just more eye contact?
Right.
Okay.
So our styles are a little bit different. I probably allow for a little bit more silence.
Right,
And
right.
you're
So I feel it.
really good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so I kept trying to bring
Interruption.
them together in some ways. But do you know what we didn't do as much is brainstorming like we normally do.
Yeah.
To really kind of, great, thank you.
Thanks.